March 6, 1981, Lübeck, West Germany. It's the third day of trial. 35-year-old Klaus Grabowski sits in the defendant's chair. He's on trial for abducting, sexually assaulting, and murdering 7-year-old Anna Bachmeier. Around 10 a.m., Anna's mother, Marianne Bachmeier, enters the courtroom. She has been present on the previous 2 days. However, she could no longer sit there another moment and listen to her daughter's murderer claim that her daughter Anna had tried to blackmail him, that a 7-year-old threatened to expose him unless he paid her to stay quiet. Anna had no voice in that courtroom to answer that accusation, no way to defend herself from the man who had already confessed to killing her, and Marianne had reached her limit. Grabowski is seated with his back to the gallery. Without warning, she pulls a .22 caliber Beretta pistol from her coat. She steps forward and fires 8 shots. 6 bullets strike Grabowski in the back. He collapses and dies at the scene. The courtroom erupts. Police take Marianne into custody without incident. On her way out, she is heard saying, "I did this for Anna." Before there was a courtroom shooting, there was a child. Anna Bachmeier was born on November 14, 1972. She was 7 years old in the spring of 1980. She lived in Lübeck with her mother, Marianne Bachmeier. By most accounts, Anna was a typical 7-year-old who enjoyed playing with friends and being around horses. She's also described as being strong-willed, independent, and mature for her age. She walked to school on her own, which was normal in West Germany at the time. Children her age commonly navigated short routes without supervision. Her life was not picture perfect. Her mother worked late nights at a local pub. Sometimes Anna slept in the back room while Marianne worked. None of that changes the fact Anna was a child, 7 years old, and on May 5th, 1980, she left her house and was never seen alive again. May 5th, 1980. It was a Monday. The night before, Anna and her mother had argued. Accounts describe it as a routine disagreement between a single mother and a strong-willed child. The next morning, Anna got up and dressed herself. Marianne had worked late the previous evening. Anna was accustomed to managing her morning routine independently and regularly walked alone through the neighborhood. Reports differ on whether she was heading directly to school or first to a friend's home nearby. What is established is that she left the apartment alone and began walking through her usual route in Lübeck. Along the way, she encountered Klaus Grabowski. He lived in the same neighborhood. Grabowski owned cats, and children in the area were aware of them. Accounts state that Anna had visited his apartment before to see the animals. That morning, she entered the building where he lived. Witnesses later confirmed seeing her go inside. There are no witness reports of seeing her exit. Investigators determined that Anna remained in the apartment for several hours. During that time, Grabowski sexually assaulted her. He strangled her using a pair of his fiancé's tights. After the killing, he bound her body, placed it inside a cardboard box, and transported it to a canal embankment, where he left it concealed. Later that day, Grabowski told his fiancée what he had done. She contacted the police. Officers located him at a local bar and arrested him that evening. He confessed to abducting, sexually assaulting, and killing Anna. In his statement to investigators, he claimed that Anna had threatened to tell her mother about inappropriate contact unless he gave her money. He said he acted out of fear of returning to prison. Anna Bachmeier was 7 years old. Klaus Grabowski was 35 years old in May of 1980. He worked as a butcher in Lübeck. He lived in a residential neighborhood. He was engaged to be married. He had prior convictions for sexual offenses involving young girls. In the 1970s, he was convicted in 2 separate cases of child sexual abuse. Following those convictions, he underwent psychiatric evaluation. Under West German law at the time, certain sex offenders could receive reduced detention if they voluntarily underwent chemical castration. The treatment involved anti-androgen medication intended to suppress sexual drive. Grabowski agreed to the procedure. He was chemically castrated and subsequently released earlier than a full custodial sentence would have required. Years later, he sought medical treatment to reverse the hormonal suppression. According to reporting, the stated reason was to restore sexual function and pursue marriage and family life with his fiancée. His testosterone levels were medically restored to a normal range. There was no permanent incapacitation requirement under the law at the time. By 1980, Grabowski was living freely in Lübeck. On May 5th, he encountered Anna Bachmeier in his neighborhood. He later confessed to killing her. The trial of Klaus Grabowski began on March 4th, 1981, at the Lübeck Regional Court. Under West German law at the time, the case was heard before professional judges rather than a jury. Grabowski faced charges of kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder. He had already confessed to killing 7-year-old Anna Bachmeier. Her body had been recovered. The cause of death had been established as strangulation. The legal proceedings focused on criminal responsibility and motive. Grabowski's defense centered on psychiatric evaluation. His attorneys emphasized his prior convictions and subsequent chemical castration. They argued that hormonal suppression, followed by later hormone treatments to restore testosterone levels, had destabilized him psychologically. Medical experts were called to discuss endocrine changes and impulse control. Grabowski repeated his claim that Anna had threatened to report him for inappropriate contact unless he gave her money. He stated that the fear of returning to prison triggered panic and led to the killing. The defense position acknowledged the act of killing and concentrated on diminished responsibility. The court heard arguments regarding emotional instability, medical treatment history, and psychological impairment. During the first 2 days of testimony, Marianne Bachmeier sat in the courtroom and listened. She later stated that she could no longer accept the defense's portrayal of her daughter. In interviews and during her own trial, she said that she believed the blackmail allegation was false and degrading. She described hearing Anna accused without any opportunity to respond. She said her daughter had no voice in the courtroom. She stated that she could not endure hearing another day of what she considered lies about her child. March 6, 1981. It's the 3rd day of trial. Marianne Bachmeier rose early that morning in Lübeck. She put on a green overcoat. She carried a handbag. Inside the bag was a .22 caliber Beretta 70 pistol. She arrived at the Lübeck District Court shortly before 10 a.m. She entered courtroom 157. She took her place at the back of the chamber. Proceedings were already underway. Grabowski sat facing the judges. His back was toward the gallery. For several minutes, nothing unusual happened. Then, without raising her voice, without warning, Marianne reached into her handbag, drew the pistol, stepped forward, and fired 8 rounds. 6 of those rounds struck Grabowski in the back. He collapsed in front of the bench. Medical personnel were summoned, but he died within minutes. The courtroom erupted into chaos. Marianne stayed still. She allowed police officers to restrain her and take the weapon. Witnesses later reported her saying, "I wanted to shoot him in the face, but I shot him in the back because he killed my daughter." She was immediately arrested. The trial for murder stopped, and a new trial was about to begin. Immediately after the shooting, Marianne Bachmeier was charged with murder. Under German law, killing someone in a courtroom with a concealed weapon during an active trial qualifies as intentional homicide. There was no dispute about the act. She had fired the gun. Witnesses were present. The weapon was recovered. The central legal issue was her state of mind at the time of the shooting. Her criminal trial began on November 2, 1982. The case drew enormous public attention. Donations poured in to support her defense. Her story had already been sold to the German magazine Stern for approximately 100,000 Deutschmarks, money used to cover legal expenses. Her defense did not deny the shooting. Instead, they focused on context. They argued cumulative trauma, including her history of abuse, sexual assault, instability, and the psychological impact of losing her child. They argued that the state bore partial moral responsibility for releasing a known sex offender back into the community. Prosecutors initially pursued a murder conviction, but after a 28-day trial, the court reached a different conclusion. On March 2, 1983, Marianne Bachmeier was convicted of manslaughter and illegal possession of a firearm. The court sentenced her to 6 years in prison. She served approximately 3 years and was released in 1985. In its ruling, the court described the case as exceptional and emphasized that the decision should not be interpreted as establishing precedent. The case triggered national debate about vigilante justice. Marianne Bachmeier took a firearm into a courtroom and killed a defendant during an active murder trial. Her daughter's killer, Grabowski, had confessed to killing the 7-year-old girl. However, the court had not yet issued a verdict. Public discussion soon expanded beyond the shooting itself and turned toward Marianne Bachmeier's past. Anna was not her first child. When Marianne was approximately 16 years old, she became pregnant while living in what media accounts later described as a strict and volatile household. When the pregnancy became known, she was reportedly forced to leave her home. With no financial stability and no secure housing, she gave birth and placed the child up for adoption. 2 years later, at the age of 18, she became pregnant again. Her circumstances had not stabilized. She lacked a reliable partner, experienced periods of homelessness, and reportedly endured a sexual assault during that time. After the birth, the child's paternal grandparents urged Marianne to allow them to adopt the baby, stating they could provide greater stability. Marianne agreed. Anna, born on November 14, 1972, was different. By then, Marianne was about 22 and worked steadily as a waitress in a pub in Kiel. Anna's father, Christian Berold, the pub owner, did not marry her and was not consistently involved in Anna's upbringing. Marianne believed she could manage independently in a way that she could not at 16 or 18. This time, Marianne chose to keep the child and raise her alone. Shortly after Anna's birth, she underwent a tubal ligation. Anna would be the only child that she would raise. In the court of public opinion, that history became part of the narrative. To some, it suggested instability and impulsiveness. To others, it reflected repeated vulnerability, a young woman navigating poverty, violence, and abandonment without support. Her past was examined as evidence of character, but none of it changed the central fact: a man had murdered her daughter. Marianne Bachmeier was released from prison in 1985 after serving approximately 3 years of her 6-year sentence. After her release, she left Germany. She relocated to Nigeria and eventually moved to Sicily, where she worked in hospice care. In the mid-1990s, Marianne was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. As her health declined, she returned to Lübeck for medical care. She died in September 1996 at the age of 46. She was buried beside Anna in Lübeck. She had arranged a double grave. On March 6, 1981, Marianne Bachmeier made a decision that would define the rest of her life. She went to prison. She lived with the consequence of that choice. She said she did it for Anna. Justice served.